everybody. Welcome to Eden+Fractal meeting number 34. Today is Wednesday, January 25th, and we've been here discussing lots of exciting things that Eric is doing and also Jorge's doing with the Spanish fractal. We can get into it more. I'll just keep the intro brief here and say hello, everybody. If anyone wants to say hello or some quick words, then feel free to do so. And Jorge was just sharing some interesting insights and questions from the Spanish fractal. So I suppose with that, I'll pass it on, open it up, and then pass on to Jorge.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I was bringing to the light the need we have these fractals to promote long-term thinking and to overcome this inherent nature we have as humans of value what is bringing us immediate satisfaction, like respect those things that we immediately see. What I was trying to convey here to the table is how these fractals in general and this process can incentivize people that are planning long-term contributions, meaning contributions that require several weeks or even months of planning and executing upon this planning, meaning that this this whole process is supposed to work on already delivered process. But if someone today presents a work that required him 2 weeks of efforts or 2 months of effort, and he receives all the respect for that, but then next week he doesn't receive anything, then it's maybe not worth for that person to put that effort on that. And so in order for these systems to be more sustainable, we maybe need a way to incentivize long-term, high-quality work. That's what I'm trying to point out today. Thank you.
Well, yes, thank you very much, Jorge. And thank you for repeating that here on the recording as well. And also, by the way, congratulations. I forgot to mention before, but you mentioned previously that you just had your 20th meeting with the Spanish fractal. So that is awesome and super exciting. And thanks so much for helping to spread fractal democracy and cooperation in the Spanish-speaking world. It's profoundly helpful. I'd be curious if anybody has any thoughts about that. I see Eric is unmuted. I suppose one thing I'll add is I think that the culture plays a big role, having conversations like this and recognizing that some contributions take a long time to develop, but these are processes that can enable us to come to consensus about subjective matters. So that as one way we can help solve for this long-term thinking by being smart together and thinking these things through to reward and value contributions that are helpful in the long term. Does anybody else have any thoughts you'd like to share in response to Jorge? Or
yeah, I certainly can throw in a couple of questions there and reflections. I want to be clear on the question because from my perspective, if I do something a week ago, if new people show up to a meeting and they haven't given me respect for the amazing thing that I did a week ago, then I would love to receive the respect from them in that session because they've just got here. But for the people that already gave me respect for the same thing that I did a week ago, to also give me more respect again on balance of everyone else's contribution, I don't get that bit. So I'm not sure if that's the question we're asking. In my mind, keeping it simple, contribution has a limited reach. If we can measure that my contribution from a week ago or 2 weeks ago is still continuing to add value to more and more people now, then I probably should deserve some respect because it's showing the results of what I've created. So it's not just the creation, it's the ongoing contribution and growth and development of the thing. So I'm wondering if that's relevant, or if you can clarify what the situation was. Did the person expect to receive value based on some wonderful thing they did 3 weeks ago that hasn't contributed anything new, or was that thing still reaching new people and adding new value, and therefore it would warrant ongoing respect? Hopefully that makes some relevant reflections. Over to you, Jorge.
So can I proceed, Dan, or should we give the word to Marco?
It's up to you, Jorge, whatever you think is best. And by the way, we'll probably break out into breakout rooms in like 3 or 4 minutes. So
I
just
think
keep
I'll
that in mind.
answer then. Well, what got me thinking is long-term projects. For example, let's suppose I'm working in anything that's I think is going to benefit the community, but it's long-term. For example, a drug for curing any disease that I am planning is going to take 2 years of development. So in the first quarter of 1 year, I say I'm working on this drug, and I have these advances. And I show them to the community, and I receive the respect. But then next week, because I'm working on that, I bring the same subject, but the community, because they don't have contact with all the nuances of the project, with all the legal details, they receive that as an already delivered contribution that is in progress, but is not fully completed. So my point is that for the average person, the work, the huge amounts of work that require those long-term contributions are not grasped. So even if after 2 years, I deliver the whole contribution, and the community says, okay, yeah, you did this work, you deserve all the respect for this week, then the next week, what's going to be? Am I going to not receive anything, or be ranked in the lowest positions? That's what the point I'm bringing today to the topic.
Thank you, Jorge. And thank you, Gabriel. Great points and great questions. I'd love to dive into this deeper, and I know Marco and Eric have their hands up, so I think it'd be great if Marco and Eric can give a quick response. One note that I'll just make real quick too is I was just writing plans over the week to start recording earlier, so we can start recording these conversations earlier and have more structure. So I think that'll be helpful for more discussions like these in the future, and we can discuss these after as well. But with that, I'll pass it on to Marco and Eric, and if you guys could respond quickly. Obviously, we won't be able to get into this in full detail right now, but if you could keep your responses pretty quick so that we can hear from both of you and be able to move into breakout rooms in the next few minutes, then that would be helpful. Thank you.
Real quick, we covered this early in the Genesis Fractal. I think Ed Larimer was the one that brought it up. Multiple weeks of respect based on the different. However, Gabriel did bring up something that was not really detailed, in that new people coming in, but and it may have been touched upon, but not really emphasized. I think this is the whole good of the community, the whole work in the community. But no, what Gabriel said was not specifically discussed. But yeah, if you contribute $1 million and people want to keep giving respect for the whole year, yeah, that's how we started this whole thing.
Great thoughts. Thank you, Marco. And yeah, there are a lot of wisdom in the Genesis Fractal from here as well. Eric?
Yeah, so I used to teach lots of group people to go reach goals independently and together. And I used to not count when they said their contributions, unless it either fit what I called a program, something ongoing, keeps it running, or a project, some outcome in the future. So I used to have them say, well, I did this so that otherwise it didn't count. In other words, if I just, well, I talked to a lot of people. Okay. So where is that getting? So I think future outcomes are important. So as long as the goal is going toward delivering some valued capability that we agree on in the future, I think that's something we have to make sure to give a little extra thought process to make sure we take that into account, because the future, it seems like ambiguous, and what they're doing might even fail. Like, let's say Jesse is doing the bees and it failed. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you didn't learn something or it wasn't valuable. So I think we have to be careful to weight future contributions today that build toward reaching some future. So I think as long as it's clear where somebody is trying to go with something and that's valuable, it needs to be given a due consideration.
Yeah, excellent points. I agree, Eric, and Marco, and everybody. Thanks, Jorge, for the very inspiring question. And I'd love to get into this more in the future. Perhaps we can propose this as a topic for agendas during next week. This week, the topics that have the most votes right now are the MSIG discussions. So I think that after the breakout rooms, that we'll discuss the MSIG discussions. Currently, Vlad's proposal has the most, and then I know Marco also made some interesting proposals as well too, so we'll see what we can get to. But yeah, it'd be great to have a more detailed discussion about this as well at some point in the future. Cool. And I also want to welcome everybody too. In case anybody just joined, we're basically talking about valuing long-term contributions, in case you didn't get that. But yeah, welcome Sebastian and Pascal and Perry and CAC and Tadas and Vlad and everybody who joined a bit later. Great to see you all. I think we should get started into the breakout rooms now because we're a few minutes behind. If anybody wants to just share a quick word or two here, then feel free. Otherwise, I'll start the breakout rooms now.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning. We'll have 3 breakout rooms with currently 4 to 5 participants each because we have 13 people right now. And opening up now. Hope everybody has a great time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, nice room.
Yes, very nice room. Good to see you all.
Yeah. Could not be better, I think.
I feel like it's going to be tough because there's a lot of very high contributors here. Well, first off, would anybody like to moderate this breakout room? I'm happy to do so if you guys would like, but also I think it'd be cool if anybody else wants to do it.
I think, Dan, you are the best to moderate. That's an exercise for you here into this breakout room, like a warm-up before the main room.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm happy to do so. I was just thinking after last week, I think it's maybe helpful to ask people if they want to moderate, because I think the more we get experience, all of us doing it, that's probably good. But yeah, I'm happy to do it though. Okay, cool. So would anybody like to share some initial thoughts here first, or shall we go into sharing your contributions? And if so, would anybody like to share their contributions first? It looks like Vlad is in deep deliberation, thinking. And it looks like Patrick's in deep deliberation. How about we just think for a while?
I'm always taking notes when we first get here. I always write up everybody's names, and so that's why you see me busy at the beginning to like say, oh, who's here? What room are we in? So I don't forget.
Cool. I'm curious, maybe it's a little bit off topic, but what kind of notes do you take? Do you take notes like to see what people are doing and stuff like that as people are talking?
Yeah, because I don't just listen to what people do. I try and put it into some kind of context to why it's important, because I have to rank things. So it's tough if you just look at the list. But if you think in terms of what are we doing to operate, grow, and future growth, it kind of helps me balance.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point. I always work on doing that too, and I think that's a helpful thing for everybody to do, to be able to better understand what people are doing, having those notes. So thank you for that, Eric. If you're ready and done taking the notes, would you perhaps like to go first, Eric?
Sure. So I'm always like talking about governance. So we did the live stream for the World Talent Economy Forum on leadership and governance, and the difference between leadership, governance, and management, and how they're all important. So pretty good talk. That's was on Monday. Also Monday, I went to the university and talked about their potential involvement in establishing and forwarding the credibility of the Eden+Fractal. We talked about them participating in the Center for Governance Education and both in the Fractal office. It's in the offices there. And then we talked to some venture capitalists in Silicon Valley and asked how they could play. They wanted to talk about something like a Center for Metaversal Entrepreneurship, and it was just an initial discussion, but they seemed to like this idea. The other thing we did is we actually applied for a grant for Alien Worlds for the Center for Governance Development. So that's for a single grant of 100,000 trillion to start. And if they approve that, then the idea to see if we can get some operating costs to pay, like Dan be the center communications director and education director and office manager, and Tadas and Vlad, we talked about for Vlad being the tool, Center for Tool Governance Tool Development, that part. So put in a grant and started promoting that to see where that goes. Then with the Fallbrook Art Association, we had an all hands meeting, and that's the first time most of us personally heard about what we're doing with the weekly Fractal, which is the Fallbrook Volunteer Forum. So we actually met with people and did that. We also started putting it on an email blast to the whole group. But this time I've just been putting it to select people. We've been getting 12 to 14 people show up. So everybody here is welcome to come and join. I have to thank Dan and Dwayne help, and also Brian Thomas for being outside people who help grow this thing. And I also talked to putting together my dissertation committee on helping put that out there, and engaged an expert who's Dan's met online, Paula Herring, on actually visiting. So we've set up a visit for next week to actually come and figure how can we put this thing together. So as usual, asking for lots of help. So that's it for me. Maybe Vlad can tell us what he's doing.
Yes. First, I have a feeling that I didn't do enough, but the things that I did seem to be fairly impactful, so to say. So one important thing was yesterday. We had first call with me, Matthias, and Lennar. And Lennar is the developer with whom I've been working the past 3 years already. And since Matthias is front-end developer is no longer with Zios, Lennar will help him to build essentially the UI for the first iteration of Zios. So that's very important. I, so to say, connected them. Then in regards to Eden+Fractal, I did this MSIG proposal, third iteration. Then I started writing the Medium article, just introducing Eden+Fractal and the processes that we are using. It's actually it can be very detailed, so I'm thinking how detailed to make it. But for example, right now I'm describing even the process that we're doing inside the breakout room. Like, okay, anyone can write level 6 in the chat, then anyone no, after somebody writes level 6, then we continue. Everybody has to give a signal. Now, anyway, there are a lot of details to include so that when the new person comes, so that he would not be confused, he would understand. So I'll try to finish that article by the next meeting, and would be nice if by that time we would have some kind of mission as well, because that it would be nice if that article would start with what is Eden+Fractal, and Eden+Fractal is what its mission currently is. And yeah, personally, I think the market, the networking aspect is something that we could really capitalize on. So just clear message in all the EOS groups that come join us and meet other builders on EOS, make connections, network, build personal relationships. It's great. Bear market is cold, it's warm with us. Yeah. And besides that, I deployed the first version of the contracts. So that's the new iteration of what we are doing right now. They are deployed to zeos.fractal contract. I did already some first round of testing. Yeah, I can share the account. And that's about it. That's about it. And then, would you like to go?
Sure, sounds good. Thanks, Vlad, for the incredibly awesome and exciting work, and Eric as well. We were also, well, for one thing, I think that the slogan that you mentioned there was pretty funny. It's cold in the bare winter, it's warm with us, something like that. So we can explore that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm really excited about those tools.
I also forgot, just for everybody here, that I helped get money to go to developers for this conference at the World Talent Economy Forum. So if somebody wants to present a paper or something, let me know. There's about $1,450 US for travel and hotel for those that want to go at the end of March in India.
Yeah, sounds excellent.
Put that link in Telegram, in the Eden+Fractal group on Telegram.
Cool. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, we were talking about that before we started recording. I wish we had that on recording because you shared some really exciting things there. But yeah, I'm gonna check out that link and encourage everybody else to do so as well. Okay, so I'll share my contributions now, and I'll pop up the window. And so a bunch of different things that I've been working on this week. For one thing, I published the Eden Town Hall from this past week, where Joachim from the Hyper team joined, and we had a great conversation. There's timestamps here and description and so forth. And Joachim gave an awesome presentation for like half hour. And then there was probably about 10, 15 people who joined on the call and asked a bunch of great questions. Patrick was there. Eric was there, so that was really cool. Thank you guys for joining and sharing all the cool questions. And yeah, I'm really excited about this integration with Haifa and Eden. I shared that in some groups so far, and I'm also working on an article too that I'm hoping to share later this week, as well as some tweets and some video clips. But so far I've just shared the video. I also hosted the town hall this week with Patrick and Gabriel and CAC, and we talked about all sorts of exciting stuff. I haven't published this yet, but we talked about improving the town halls. Oop, that's another thing that I should have added here too. I made edentownhall.com this week, and we talked about recent updates with Eden+Fractal. We did a lot more of a visual kind of presentation style, and we talked about the Antelope Workshop series and the Eden Chief Delegate meetings and mission and coordination. And we talked for a while about Kamazotsinka, which is the really cool co-living regen haven that Gabriel is building, as well as the collective. So we had a great discussion about that for a while, about the cool place that he's building in the jungle, and then also just all the different ideas about how to coordinate communities and so forth. And then yeah, I got together my slides. I was up until like 3 in the morning last night and have been working a lot. So I maybe it's not as prepared, but I just remembered I had edentownhall.com. I put together a quick landing site so people can join. Hold on one second. Lisa just joined, so I'm just assigning her to room 2. Yeah, so I built a quick landing site for edentownhall.com where I'm going to be curating all the town hall videos. Over the past couple of weeks and months, I've been working to increase the production game and do better videos, and Patrick's been super helpful on basically all the calls, sharing great presentations and so forth. So I just put together a quick site here. I've been using Cosmo, a creator. This is a friend who's holding a soccer ball that looks like an Eden logo. So there's much more here coming soon, but I have some links, and then it links to the playlist. Pretty soon I'll add the show notes, kind of like I have on Eden Town Hall or edenfractal.com. But then you can see all the videos here. We've been doing this every week for the past 8 months or so. So I've been starting to make better thumbnails and present that better. I've also been working with CAC this week, and past 2 weeks, I guess. We met on a few different calls to talk about curating some articles. So he helped curate the Mission of Eden article and also the brainstorming article and the show notes for this week. So we talked a lot about processes to collaborate in this way, and I think it'll be really helpful to create a lot more great content about Eden and about Eden+Fractal. And so far he's doing great work, and I think we have a great synergy here. So these are still draft articles. I did some of it, he did some of it. So I think he wrote most of this, so he writes it well. We talked about the best ways to organize it and also ways to improve the look of the website. I also made some art last week. And then basically the idea here is kind of like the agendas article, if you remember that one, just curating like Vlad's proposal. Eric, you made great feedback in a couple of the meetings. I made a proposal and so forth. So curating all the different ideas that people have shared about the mission so we can have a better resource to share, and then facilitate discussions around it. And then also bringing in the Eden on EOS discussions as well, along with some related posts. So that's coming along over the past week or two. I've also been working on the brainstorming article that CAC made a lot of progress on yesterday as well, which is curating both what we're doing with Eden Fractal brainstorming sessions that Patrick is hosting and organizing, and then also curating past brainstorming sessions so that people can see it all in one spot. Still, some of it's messy, but you can see here now we have the videos and the timestamps and the tweets and lots of different things for all the different ones. At some point, we'll probably go through and find some of the great tweets from the swarms too. But starting to build this page out, it'll probably still take another week or a few before it's really awesome. But I mean, it's got a lot of awesome content now, but it'll certainly be refined in the coming days and weeks. Also, I made a quick proposal last week. I know we have a lot of other topics, but I just reiterated this proposal, and Marco made a similar one, but I put it out there to discuss the mission statement of Eden+Fractal if we get to. A big thing that I did this week was take learnings from last week about how to better moderate, and I'm working on a page to create moderator guidelines, both for myself to be a better moderator during meetings, and then for everybody in the future who's a moderator. So I haven't actually updated this page. I built it a couple weeks ago, but I have a bunch of notes I'm planning to add to this page about how to just like write notes so I know exactly what to say, or have a good idea of what to say to provide a very structured and helpful experience, and other people can do so as well. So there's a document, edencreators.com/guidelines. They're working on this. I'm going to be adding more to it over the coming week. I've also been investing in some better tools to do it better, like having a bigger monitor and stuff like that. And then, yeah, another thing that I published just yesterday was the show notes and the video for Eden+Fractal 33. This was also helped a lot by CAC. So as always, or as of the past couple months, we have all the topics and proposals, and then some community news like the brainstorming sessions and Patrick's announcements and so forth. So these are all curated here so people can check out pretty detailed timestamps and all the cool news that people are doing. By the way, I forgot to set my timer, so sorry if I'm going too long, but I'll try to wrap it up in a moment. And then I also engaged in different proposals. I had a conversation with Vlad. We started recording a conversation for the first time this week. So thanks for the great conversation, Vlad. And I think we'll do this more. We talked about all sorts of cool things, and perhaps at some point we'll share this as some sort of podcast, but more details about that coming soon, I suppose. And then I also worked on an article at edencareers.com/MSIG. I talked a lot with Vlad and Patrick and the Eden Fractal Telegram group about different proposals. I made a proposal for the MSIG and shared some ideas about moral hazards and game theory and so forth. So I'll get into this in more detail, I suppose, after the meeting or after the breakout room. But I made those two proposals and wrote a bunch of reasons why I think we should make the MSIG in a certain configuration. We'll get into that later. Those are the two proposals. I also engaged with Marco's proposal and I'll provide some feedback there. And I've been learning a lot about collaborating with Notion as well, working with CAC and perhaps scaling it up. I also watched and retweeted and participated in the Antelope Swiss workshops too. So thank you very much, Patrick. And then just before the meeting, I shared quite a long message thanking Patrick for all the incredibly helpful work and the funding. And then just there's all the great things you're doing, Patrick. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be in the breakout room with you again. We haven't been in a breakout room together in a long time. So I'm happy to respect you here. And then I shared more messages about encouraging people to support Eden Fractal and sharing a bit about what I've been doing for a while here. So sorry, that was probably a long presentation. Sorry if that was too long, but I'll wrap it up there and thank you. And I suppose I'll pass it on to Das unless anybody has any questions or comments.
Thanks, Dan. I will.
Das, you are muted.
Mhm.
Still muted, by the way.
Now, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So like on the past, like during the past few weeks, I've been working on this Telegram-based tool. This week is no exception. I made some updates, and I think we can actually try this. To try to use this this week to reach consensus. And but right now, maybe we just do a quick rundown through through how it works right now. Yeah, so I introduced these few selections in the attachments menu. First, you can do the account prompt. Here I made it customizable, so by default it's Yes account name, but you can change it to be something else. Yeah, and so the idea is that people will specify their EOS account names by replying to this message, and this way the app will learn how to populate the next items, like for example poll. Here you see it automatically inputs all the members from the group, and for those members who specified their EOS account names, it shows their account names as well. Yeah, here people, for example, vote on who should be a delegate 6, and the same can be done for level 5 and so on. And then the same can be done for a delegate. Yeah, and the final step is consensus results. So this will compose a message which will summarize the information from all the polls and derive consensus results, basically. Who who was elected in each place. Yeah, and it's also customizable here. Here you can either select none. Basically, what you're customizing is the link which will be displayed in the message, through which you will be able to submit the results. If you select none, for example, here this is the whole message, and yeah, and this is useful for Fractals which don't have a consensus signaling tool like FlatSap, like we have FlatSap. So, for example, what we will do, we will select Eden+Fractal, then we will enter group number, and here you see a fuller message which includes this. Yes, and if I press this, here you see the delegate and the group number input with values set. And if you look at the polls, first of all, you see in the results message, you see that only I specified DOS account name. So it only filled in those accounts which have specified their DOS account names. And if you see the polls, you see that this item won, and correspondingly you see that it filled that in the link. So now it doesn't look right because it's only I and bots cannot vote. So it's all the winners are out of all the winners are have only one vote. But we can try this right now after Patrick presents and see how it goes. Yeah. Maybe if someone has a quick question, I can answer now, or maybe let's do questions later.
One quick one. How those groups are created?
What groups?
In Telegram.
Right now you have to manually create them, like you usually create Telegram groups. So basically the idea is that someone would create a group and share it through Zoom chat, for example.
Very cool.
I think if you don't mind, I will create a group right now and invite you all.
Yep.
Sounds great. Looking forward to trying it out.
You can handle when you don't get consensus on the first round of polling, you just poll again.
Yes, you can. You can actually, you also can retract votes on the same. So people can switch votes, or we can do create another poll.
So some moderator in each room would create the poll for each breakout room.
Yes, to use it, at least one person would have to use this Telegram client that I will deploy soon, and everyone else can use the normal whatever Telegram client they normally use.
So how do you get the results of all those groups together if you're not publishing it to Eden?
Yeah, so right now there is no solution to that. I just know that there might be some Fractals which don't yet have, which aren't submitting anywhere to any blockchain yet.
Yeah, I'm not for the ARD Fractal. So yeah, I would need to figure out how to get that all seen together.
Yeah, so right now we would just have a chat history, and yeah, but yeah, in the future I would imagine you would have a way to integrate would be to create something like another front end, like Eden+Fractal front tab, it would store somehow results there or published in the blockchain. Yeah. So I will pass it on to Patrick.
So, so I will begin with MindWeb, what I am doing with Vlad since a couple of weeks, and that will continue. And with the Eden+Fractal web app also with you, Tadas, because you are passing parameter to the web app. So the people don't know that, but I am maintaining the database of all the links that I receive to the my maps. That's all the database, all the links that I receive to MindWeb. And recently I received without, you see those ones here, I received without email, without name, without EOS account, without Twitter handles. That's directly the proposal that are sent by consortium automatically. I receive the polls, and from the consortium tool of Vlad, when a poll is created, and also when a poll is deleted. Why? When it is deleted, because I want to maintain into the mind map. I will show you. The mind map of brainstorming session that we are using. On the right side, that's the right brain. That's always representing the current poll that we are brainstorming. So when Vlad send me, it's not Vlad, but when the consortium app send me a new created poll, this created poll will be brainstormed into the right brain here. And when I receive that the poll is deleted from a consortium, why it is deleted from consortium? Because we have maybe to redo a poll, or maybe that's the poll was passed. The poll is also deleted when the poll is passed. So I receive what poll was deleted, and what I do into the mind map, I take the poll that was into the right brain, and I transfer into the Eden+Fractal memory of the mind map. Like this, I have the history of all the mind map. And the people, like for example, on the Sunday Edenton Hall, that was the 22 January, we have Gabriel Shaw that has sent kamazotecollective.com, because I stated I will begin to do a mind map for Kamazote Fincas by Gabriel Shaw, and I encourage him to send me all the links that he wants to map out into a mind map for Kamazotesfinca.com. That's in Mexico, in Yucatan, into the jungle, 45 hectares he has bought, Gabriel, and he's doing DAOs there. He wants to create DAOs. So I map out that. So that's the database of the MindWeb store. Something else that I want to share with you guys that I have never shared. Into Discord, you have a MindWeb store server since a while. I am maintaining this. And it's a knowledge base. You have, for example, ecosystems, ENF, OCI, Blue Paper, Pomelo, etc. You have categories into this MindWeb store. You have platforms, you have dApps, you have gateways, APIs, operating system, protocols, timestamping, Exchange Oracle on EOS, NFTs, BP interviews, dev, etc. And I have a Discord bot that I am always continuously developing that is extracting this Discord server MindWeb store, and I can send a command to extract just what I want to extract, and it creates me a mind map automatically. Then I have just to go into the mind map and arrange the mind map. So, and into Discord server, I have already about 150 people that have joined this Discord server. That's the main web store. At the beginning, it was named bullish on EOS, but I don't like this word, bullish on EOS, because that makes think about the exchange bullish on EOS of block one. So I have a rename into main web store. I think Vlad is in, Dogman also, you are in. So that's my first contribution that I want to share, and that's a continuous one. Now what I want to share with you that Dancing Joy has just showed before, I will show you from where that comes. This workshop, that's the 18-1 since 2020. That's the 4th season. I do that every 2 months that I am sick or not. For example, now I am sick. I do in any case. So this workshop is named the collaboration between the EOS digital networks is the Graal. I have covered in each video that was with Zyzen Global, with Red Pool, with Daniel Keys of Pomelo, or with Jesse Jaffe of the EOS Bees, or with Eden+Fractal update. I have always speak in every video about Eden+Fractal. There is no video where I am not mentioning Eden+Fractal, because that's a good example. Then I write this resume here. You can see that. I will put into the chat this link, no problem. And I have embedded the video that's on Bywire. As always, I use Bywire because it is on-chain and on IPFS. I love this platform of Michael O'Sullivan, independent news of Bywire. So that's about that. Yesterday in my night at 19 UTC, so that's make 8 p.m. in my night, I have interviewed Joshua Seymour. As I promised, I interview all the CDs. Every season of the CDs, I interview them. So you have here the last interview about sorry. Just want to share that with you. So that's the special Eden on EOS interview of Joshua Seymour, election term 5. We discussed about the pulse of the Eden community, the why workshops, the IFA toolkit. We mentioned Eden+Fractal during the video, making shout out to Dancing Joy and Vlad and Tadas and all the team of Eden+Fractal. Particularly, we discussed of that, the pulse of the Eden community, the why workshops, because Joshua is organizing why workshop. I will participate as a chief delegate. I am a chief delegate, so I will participate to the why workshops. IFA toolkit, how it is important to use the IFA toolkit. And let's the consensus continue with the delegates and the rest of the Eden community, because the consensus that we have reached into the round of Eden on EOS doesn't stop at the election. That's continued during all the season, and that's what is a precedent during this election term 5. We are approaching bottom up the things, and all the processes will depend of the why. The same into Eden+Fractal, the processes have to depend of our why. So, and we agree also that we have many missions, not only one mission, but one mission relating to the phase where we are. We cannot have just one mission. The mission is evolving, it's dynamic, it's not frozen in the stone. So by working on to Eden on EOS as a chief delegate, doing the videos of the chief delegate, and organizing, moderating also the chief delegate call like this Thursday at 19 UTC, and then I publish onto the channel of Waxa, the YouTube of Waxa. I have the chance to, let's say, join all the skills that I have with Eden+Fractal, and at the same time with Eden on EOS, because all is, let's say, connected. So that's my contribution. And to finish, I will put you those links into the included the Eden+Fractal web app because we need for after, sorry. I will put now into the discussion chat.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. We only have like 18 minutes left or so I think we should probably
I have
pretty quick.
finished. I have finished. Thank you to say. I have already finished. Thank you to interrupt me. That's okay. And you have the link. And basically, all you have presented Dance Enjoy before. That's come from my videos that are already time-stamped. And then you have just to take the timestamp that I have made and put into your website. But all the work, the timestamping of the videos, that's my work. And this night I have worked since 19 p.m. yesterday night in my night until 3 a.m. in my morning today. And I have published on EOS Swarm by Jesse Jaffe. I have paid for that to do Swarm. And I do Swarm for a brainstorming session. And I do Swarms for Eden+Fractal. I am promoting Eden+Fractal outside of our group. Just to say, and I finish here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
very
thank
much,
you
Patrick.
for the kind words. Thank you for the kind words into the Telegram. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome, of course, Patrick. Do you mind stopping sharing the screen? I'm trying to figure out how to stop it, but I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, I will stop the share comment. So, and that's the first time I share my screen. I have never shared my screen on any contribution. I have always put directly the link. So I tried to do for one time a share screen. So I make a precedent here. Okay, now we can vote.
Thank you, Patrick. I really appreciate
I
both
give-
everything you're doing and then also the sharing a screen. It makes it much easier to see it. So thank you. I'm sorry, Eric. What were you
Yeah,
saying?
I am not the king to share my screen like Perry. I am not a good to share my screen. You do that better than me. But at least I speak what I want to speak. So that's okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm just wondering how I can give all you guys level 6 this week.
By the way,
we gotta break the rules.
Level 1. I have already my level 6. That's not me. That's for
Okay.
Tadas.
Well,
And,
shall we?
I will be okay to be level 1 for this week. That's okay for me. I am not here for the levels.
Okay. Well, we can rank either in Tadas's app or in the Zoom chat. By the way, Tadas, I tried joining the Telegram and it says Telegram and error occurred. Please try again later. And I tried joining a couple of times, but it's not allowing me to join the group. Do you know why that's happening?
I see you already in the group. I included some of the members. I was able to add some, and I see you are in the group. Look for
okay, sounds good. Yeah, I see it now. Okay.
And the only one missing right now is Patrick. Patrick, I sent you a direct message with a link to the Telegram group where we can reach.
Yeah, I say already put me level 1. I don't want to be. I put already my level 1, please.
Well, Patrick, he's asking you to test out the Telegram new app feature that he built.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, I joined it. Yeah, I joined it.
Okay, thanks. And Eric, you need to reply to
done.
Yeah, Eric did that. Patrick needs to reply.
Yeah, but now I already see one of the drawbacks probably of this design. You need to specify account name as a reply. I see Eric just sent a normal message.
Oh, you have to reply to.
Yes, to the message which requests to the first message in this case.
Okay.
I made correctly, Tadas. I have joined.
Yes, I see you joined.
Okay,
Now you need to reply to the first message with your EOS
I don't
account.
I don't see the message into the Telegram chat.
Okay, I will post it again.
We don't see the history of your message when you join.
Yes.
When we join.
Yes, I added another.
Eric also has joined now. I see into the Telegram, but he don't see the messages.
Yeah, I know it's a Telegram setting, but I added another message to which you can
reply with our EOS account, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I enter my EOS account. I reply to your message indeed. Okay, so I have to reply, or I can just write like this.
Reply.
Reply.
So Eric, you have to reply. You have not
I just
replied.
did.
Yes.
I have replied. That's a correct reply. Yeah, you have to reply to the message of Tadas.
Okay, cool.
Answer
So
to the.
next step.
Yeah, cool. Happy to
Should
use that.
should we do a countdown to 3 when we click to DOS?
Yes, I guess we can, as we always do.
Okay.
So
Don't vote for me, please.
Is
Vote
everybody-
for me at the end.
So we
Yeah.
just click on that one that was listed there.
I decide. Don't vote for me. Vote for me at the end. I don't want to be
Yeah.
level 5, 4, 3. I want to be the last one. Okay.
Okay.
That's my decision. I can decide. I want to be level 1. That's okay. Or I have to telephone to the government. I decide to be level 1. That's my decision. I don't care about this process here. For me, that's
it
the
would be
main rule.
nice
That's more important.
if you voted at least, Patrick, it would be easier to reach consensus. Now,
I will vote for me level 1. That's
Oh, I see it changes. Cool.
This is level 6. that
okay.
we're voting
Level
for.
6. I vote for Tadas level 6. Voilà.
So you can change your vote. That's very cool. I love
So
that.
level 6 is Tadas.
Okay. Cool. Sounds
We have
good.
Very
already
cool.
60% for Tadas.
Okay. So now should we go to level? I mean, that's only that's not 4 out of 6. So 4 out of 5. So that's not enough. But I can change my vote to DOS as well. I was voting for
Yeah,
Patrick
vote
despite
all for
despite
No,
Patrick's
no.
strong recommendation to
No.
not be level 6. I was still voting
I
for Patrick.
decide no.
Okay.
I say no. It's no. When I say no, it's no. So I don't want to that you vote for me.
We haven't
I
been
appreciate, but I want to give the vote for someone else today into this group. Not for me. Not for me. Vote for
Okay,
Eric.
sounds good.
But not
Is
for
everybody
me.
ready for level 5? We can go 3, 2, 1. Everybody's ready for level 5?
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah.
3, 2,
I vote
1,
for
0.
Eric.
Go.
And Eric has 100% because I have already clicked.
Okay. So one person
But
hasn't voted yet. Vlad hasn't
Tadas,
voted yet, I think.
we don't see who has voted for who.
Yeah.
That's
No,
okay.
No, you can see who voted
That's
for who.
anonymous vote. That's anonymous vote. That's
You're
cool.
able to see who voted for who.
I-
It says who should be ranked level 5, and it says poll, and then it shows 3 pictures of profile pictures, and then if you click that on the top, then it shows, in this case, Vlad voted for Dan, I voted for Patrick, Eric voted for Vlad, and Patrick and Tadas voted for Eric.
It
Where
shows
it
after
shows
voting.
where he shows that I click the picture of my picture. I don't see for who I have a vote, and I
It
don't.
depends. It depends on which Telegram client you use. I
Voilà.
see view results button and
In any
so-
poll, I see never where I have vote.
No, I
Into my
see it.
into my Telegram version that I have. Vlad, Tadas, you say that's depend of the Telegram client. Okay, so
Yeah.
but honestly, that's good to not know exactly who has voted for who on one side. It's not bad.
Well,
I don't know.
at least in my Telegram client, it shows a little section. It says poll right below. It says who should be ranked level 5, and I can click on that, and I can see who voted. And I do think it's a helpful feature to be able to see who voted in some cases. But
Okay. Anyway,
You still
okay.
need consensus on level 5. So
Okay.
I suggest Eric changes his vote to himself, and then.
So it's Eric.
I'm also happy to change my vote to Eric as well.
Yeah, level 5 Eric. Because there is WTFE and all this stuff, and he do a fantastic job, so he deserves.
I agree completely. All right, level 4.
That's been a long time that he is contributing, and he's not respecting in the right way. I was many times into his room, and he was never respected. Really. When I say respect, I understand what I say. Okay, so and I am the sponsor of this MSIG, so I decide.
Is everybody
You are
ready
level
for
5.
level 4?
Level
And
4.
3, 2,
And
1,
level 4
and
is
go.
Vlad. I will vote for Vlad. So, and I'm biased everyone because I say that I vote for Vlad.
Okay.
Never say for who you vote.
Yes. So Dan and
Silent.
Vlad has 2 votes.
Yes.
Dan and Vlad. But I encourage everyone to vote for someone that begins with the letter V as Victor.
Okay. Well, currently I have 2 votes from Tadas and Vlad.
Dan, you will not be upset to be one time not level 6, or
No,
okay.
no, of course not. I'm very happy to respect everybody. I can
Okay.
switch my vote to Vlad as well. I was voting for Patrick again because
No.
I still want to vote for
No.
Patrick. I feel like this in
I am
general,
not here for the
Patrick.
breakout room. I am
Okay.
here for the main room. And
Okay.
to see the improvement into the main room.
Sounds
Breakout room
good.
is
Well,
going very well. Nothing to say.
I'll first ask Vlad. I'm happy to switch my vote for Vlad, but I know Vlad voted for me too. So, what do you think we should do here, Vlad? Do you think it should be me or you at level 4?
Vlad,
Hmm.
accept the vote. You deserve. Your contributions are essentials. And Dan, he do the moderator. That's fine. Perfect.
Well, I'm also doing a lot
And
too.
yeah, and
outside
myself,
of
I am
moderation.
doing the joke. I am doing the joker. Yeah, baby. At the end, that's okay. That's not need really other things on me. I am here to make the true happening, the objective true, the Batman. Okay, so let's vote for Vlad. Yeah, that's nice choice. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, Patrick, I asked
nice
Vlad. I asked Vlad what he thought. He still hasn't responded yet, so I'm curious to hear Vlad's thoughts.
Vlad is in Roda mode. He's thinking a lot.
Yeah, we are both doing important work.
But Vlad is doing most those last weeks, so I vote for Vlad.
I feel like I often ask Vlad questions and Patrick answers. It's a funny thing that happens.
I am promoting Vlad, defending Vlad here. The position of Vlad is essential, so vote for Vlad.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to vote for Vlad too.
Because if you have no more Vlad, we
I
have
guess
no
we can
more
move on.
brainstorming session. So, by the way, it's the next week, the 31. I
Okay.
forget to mention we have the brainstorming session, the 31.
Sounds good. I'll vote for Vlad
Okay.
too. I'm looking forward to that brainstorming session. And now we can go on to level. We only have 6 minutes left, so we should be pretty quick because we got to do a delegate too.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
2, 1.
And
I
go.
vote for Dan. Voilà,
Okay.
100% Vlad because I have pressed the button the first.
Okay. I still voted for Patrick, but I feel like Patrick won't let me advocate for it much, so I'll accept it. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's okay.
And that means,
okay.
Patrick, one thing though, you cannot be level 1. You must be level 2.
Oh, level 2, level 2. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
We can absolutely not accept you being level 1 right now.
Wow. Yeah, that's the limitation of the. No, that's the correctness of the app. That's worked correctly. I am level 2. Yeah.
What group are we in?
We are in room number 1.
Okay.
And now we have to reach consensus on a delegate too.
Wow,
so...
this tool is amazing. Amazing.
Right, I forgot a delegate. Yeah, so ignore this one. Let's vote on a delegate.
Okay.
You know what would be very cool, Tadas? That this app is sending the result of the room because I want to do some statistic into the mind map.
Let's talk about this later. Now
we will speak about later about that. Yeah, that would be very cool.
We got 4 minutes to reach consensus about a delegate.
Oh
currently...
shit! I have give a carrot to Tadas. I don't give him carrots.
Well, Patrick, let's just focus on reaching delegate first before we discuss carrots and culinary treats.
Yeah. You remember the carrots? Yeah,
so
that was very fun.
Remember.
And I am 1984.
So anyway.
1984. That's me. I am 954.
Sounds good, but let's focus on the delegate though. So currently, Eric is a delegate from Council 13 4 weeks ago, as is Tadas. I was a delegate 5 weeks ago, but I'm not a delegate as of
I am
now
okay
anymore.
to be a delegate.
Same with
I raise my hand. I raise my hand. Okay, to be a delegate.
I also will
I
put myself up
suggest-
for the running of being a delegate as well. And I think it should probably either be me or Vlad because everybody else is a delegate currently.
So vote for the delegate.
But Vlad is not a delegate currently.
Nope.
Vlad and me are both currently not delegates.
I am a delegate currently.
I'll advocate for myself. I have a strong opinion about the current MSIG proposal, and I don't think that it's in the best interest of the community right now. I made some different proposals, so I care a lot about this proposal. I'm not a delegate, and I'd like to be a delegate so that I can vote against this proposal and vote for a proposal with a higher threshold, because I believe that that is much better for the community overall.
I am okay to be a delegate and also advocating about the MSIG as it should be.
What do others think?
I'll also just, by the way, just add on to my pitch a little bit. The article that I created, it's a very early draft article, but it's at edencreators.com/msig, where I've curated my thoughts about the MSIG. I'll add more to this and organize it better in the future, but this provides a high-level overview. I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple of days, and it provides an overview of why I don't support the current proposal and why I think the other proposals that I made are better.
Okay, let's then going as a delegate. We will have a fun moment into the main room. That will be fine about the MSIG. So
I
let's
support
go.
Ben as well because I don't want to rush with the MSIG and
Yeah. Okay, let's go the moderator with the MSIG. That's fine. And I am happy to see the improvement about the moderation into the main room. Mute the people when you are speaking, etc. So I encourage to be focused on the things that we have to improve.
Okay, so Patrick, you agree with Dan being a delegate as well?
I was okay to go as a delegate, but I don't want to be the shit man here. So I let go Dan. I see him very happy to go and motivated to go, and let's go into this main room with this MSIG last moment proposal of Dan at the last minute rush, and let's see how it goes. So I am happy to go into the mind of Dan, like John Malkovich, into the mind of John Malkovich. Okay, let's go, Dan.
We'll
you are the moderator at the same time. You are the MSIG man, and let's go with that. We are since 27 episodes on MSIG, and we are 34 today. So let's go. And Vlad mentioned also, yeah, there are other things more urgent to discuss about of the MSIG, and also the most important. Yeah, and also the most important point is to decide who has to be into the MSIG before the threshold and all those things.
Let's speak about it later, Patrick.
Yeah, but I say already in this room, because you have now the delegate here, I encourage the delegate to take in consideration who has to be into the MSIG, and we discuss it.
Just one thing, Patrick.
I just want to say something.
Wait, just hold on a second, Patrick.
Finished.
No, Patrick, hold on. There's something I have to say first, because right now I don't think we've reached consensus on the delegate. So far, me, you, and Dadas have said that we approve as delegate. That's only 3 to 5. So, Vlad and Eric, is it okay with you for me to be a delegate, or do you have any different thoughts?
I voted for you, as far as I know.
Oh, thank you. I didn't see that.
Is okay with you.
Sorry to interrupt, Patrick. I just want to make sure we have consensus.
You are delegate, yeah. You know that already. You are delegate. Okay, so
just want to make sure.
I just want to. I have passed a lot of time with this MSIG and also the brainstorming session. Before the MSIG, we are arrived to the conclusion during the brainstorming session that the guys or girls that have to be into the MSIG should be people that are contributing, participating, attending the meetings, and contributing. So I want to see people that are participating to the meeting and contributing to be into the MSIG. And the people that are not participating anymore should be removed. We have already speak. And if they want to join later on, they can. Huh? You can leave an MSIG and come back later when you show some contribution. But you will say that during the main room. So
sounds good. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the discussion about that. I
will be muted. I will be muted all the time. That's okay.
Not all the time.
Bye.
Just as
See
you recommended.
You on the 10 seconds. And then we say, yeah, baby, at the end. That's a syndical minimum. Bye.
Sounds great. Thank you, everybody.
See you into the main room.
Great meeting. This was a fun one.
Bye.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, that was a loud Zoom robot letting us know that it's being recorded. Hope that didn't hurt anybody's ears, and hope that everybody had a fun time during the breakout room. Also want to welcome JZA. JZA just joined for the first time after the breakout room, just to provide a little bit of an insight or an overview where we're at JZA. I think we've met briefly before, but feel free if you want to say hi or introduce yourself briefly. We just got out of the breakout rooms where we play the Eden+Fractal game and elect delegates and give each other respect for contributions. And in the next few minutes, we'll start playing the Cagendas game or Valenda's game, where we have some topics to discuss. I'll provide an overview of the topics. The ones with the most votes right now are about the Eden.Fractal account MSIG, and Vlad has the proposal that's top. I'll share my screen in a moment to provide an overview of them, and I'll also provide a quick overview of the moderator guidelines that we work with here and just the general way that we'll cooperate as well to provide an orderly and structured and efficient meeting. Before I get into that, would any of you like to say anything or share any thoughts?
Hey guys, just coming in, first time here, got invited by Lisa, so yeah, just checking out.
Cool.
Do you have the voting app? It might, the link I had didn't seem to go through.
Yes, I'll share a link in the chat, Marco. Thank you for asking. I'll also share a link to the delegate spreadsheet too in a moment too, but here is the voting app that Eden+Fractal web app that Vlad is building, and that works well. And JZA, yeah, thanks for joining. Thank you, Lisa, for inviting JZA too. Really appreciate both of you being here and joining. And yeah, perhaps we can talk more or message afterwards, JZA, if you have any questions or if you'd like to learn more about it. But we have some resources at edenfractal.com. But yeah, basically we meet for 2 hours and we play these two kind of consensus games. So right now we're kind of just finishing up one and just starting up another. So we have to get to the topics pretty soon. But thanks for joining and sharing your thoughts, and looking forward to speaking with you more, and hope that you can, well, first off, feel free to hang out and listen and share any thoughts when the time's appropriate. And then also hope you can join earlier in future meetings too, so you can participate in the first meeting or the first game as well.
I want to say real quick that JCA is a member of the Spanish-speaking Fractal. I've been instigating them to come here and learn from this Fractal. So I'm very happy to have him here. Thank you, Jason, for coming.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jorge, for inviting JZA. Thank you, Jorge and Lisa. It looks like JZA is getting invited from all over, and that's awesome to see the collaborations between the Spanish-speaking Fractal and the Eden+Fractal. Thank you, Jorge, for once again hosting that and inviting people to join us here. Really appreciate it. Okay, cool. So a couple notes. One, I just shared in the chat the link to the web app. And Pascal also shared a helpful message. Please always check your vote on EOS Explorer after you submit. So thank you, Pascal, for sharing that. That's blocks.io/account/Eden.Fractal. So I encourage everybody to make sure that their vote went through. I'll also share in the chat too the delegate spreadsheet, which shows who is elected as a delegate this week. I haven't double checked, but I think that everybody's here. Anybody can let me know if or share it if we're missing anybody, but I'm pretty sure that we have everybody who's a delegate, so that's great to hear, and we are able to pass proposals. We'll have the next 55 minutes or so to discuss these proposals and pass them, and we could also go a little bit further if needed, if the delegates agree. A couple of things I'd like to share. So first, I'll just share the screen of the consortium page right now so everybody can see the proposals on queue. You should be able to see it now. This is the Eden+Fractal Consortium page. The top proposal, TP34, from Vlad. Do you agree to add the following accounts with 6 different people and remove two accounts, Chuck's account and the Eden MSIG 101 account from the active and owner permission of the Eden.Fractal contract with a threshold of 5 for active permission and 6 for owner permission. There's also a spreadsheet here with more info where you can see it in a table view as well. So I'll open up that. The next proposal with the second most votes, I made 2 proposals afterwards yesterday with a slightly different configuration with the same people on the MSIG for one of them, but just changing the owner permission and the active permission. So rather than being a threshold of 5 for active and a threshold of 6 for owner permission, I made it a threshold of 9 for owner permission and a threshold of 8 for active permission to increase security, and then also added a custom permission of 5. I made 2 proposals. One is just that, and one is also not removing Chuck too. I shared some posts in the chat about that we can get into more details, but the main difference between these is the thresholds. And then if we have more time after the discussions with MSIG, Marco made a proposal about, or a topic proposal rather, about should the Eden+Fractal seek to align interest with Eden on EOS. That's got the most votes afterwards, and also another proposal about beginning each delegate hour by reading working or approved purpose and mission statements, and another one here that combines those. So thank you very much, Marco, for making those. And I made a similar one too about discussing the mission statement of Eden+Fractal. But first, according to the rules of Cagendas, we'll discuss the MSIG proposals. A couple quick notes too. First off, since Vlad will be proposing first, I don't think you'll need it, Vlad, but just in case, learning from last week, if you have anything that you'd like me to share on the screen or any resources you'd like me to provide, then please feel free to let me know, Vlad. And then also I can mute people while Vlad is speaking too, just to make sure that we have just an orderly meeting. Vlad and whoever else gets to present their topic will have about 5 minutes to present their topic. So everyone, while Vlad or the other topic proposers are speaking, please wait to speak. Wait until the finisher is finished speaking. Please also raise your hand with the Zoom button and wait until your turn, and then I'll call on you as a moderator to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak. And then first we'll start out with questions for clarification, then reactions, objections, and integrations. And then also, if any delegates would like to move on to the next topic, then please feel free to let us know. Perhaps either let us know in the chat or raise your hand or put up a soccer ball emoji in the corner of your screen. And I'll also aim to provide some updates by the time when we're like 20 minutes or a half hour in, just so we can schedule it well. We should get started momentarily because we're a couple minutes behind already, but I see first Marco has his hands up. So first I'll pass it on to Marco and then I'll pass it on to Vlad after that. And if there are any questions, then please share them in the chat. Thanks, Marco.
Yeah, this is just what I said in Telegram. As far as the number of needed to pass a proposal, I saw it was very low early, which I didn't like. But again, what if people don't show up or they just decide to leave? So whoever, I thought it was Vlad that had the low amount needed, and Daniel wanted higher. I prefer to have it higher, but
so Marco,
there seems to be
I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm very much looking going into this, but I think it's best if we let Vlad propose it first, so we're all on the same page. And then if you could raise your hand afterward and then restate that, then that would be appreciated after Vlad finished speaking. Okay, cool. Thanks, Marco. Thanks, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Vlad, do you want to share your proposal now?
Yep. So I would categorize that proposal just as housekeeping. The idea is to add people who are more active and remove individuals who are not participating. So the proposal right now is to add Sebastian, Marco, Perry, Gabriel, Chris, Andrew, and to remove Chuck and one account, which is Eden+Fractal. And to do that both for the active permission and for the owner permission. So the threshold is relatively low. There are 5 signatures needed for the active permission to sign something, and in total there is 11 individuals. So that's quite low. So all the delegates, I would urge you to judge this diligently. And for the owner permission, it's 6 out of 11 as well. But since we have the time delay also in both inactive and owner permission. The time delay essentially gives a 1 point, which means that if 2 days have passed, it gives 1 point, which means that actually for active permission, there is needed 4 people, and for owner permission, we need only 5. So 5 out of 11. And I would mention as well that this is temporary. The idea or the thing that I would like to see is that the delegates would hold the keys both for the active and owner permission, so that each week the owners would rotate, change. But this is in development right now, so for the time being we just need to have the active members and remove the inactive. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you very much, Vlad. That's a great overview, and thank you for making the proposal. This is also the 3rd or 4th proposal you made here too, or I think the 3rd, I guess. I'll also note too that we discussed this during the Eden+Fractal brainstorming session from last week too. So I'll try to perhaps share a link in there at some point soon, so that people can learn more later. And yeah, great thoughts overall. We've also talked about this more in previous meetings. I think meeting number 28, we had a long discussion. So at some point I'll share links so people can catch up with there. But thank you, Vlad. And at this point, now that Vlad has introduced it, I think we can open it up. First, we'll start out with, according to the sociocratic method that we approved a few weeks ago that Gabriel proposed, with questions for clarification. So if anybody has any, I'm sure people have lots of reactions and responses in terms of how they feel or how they think about it. But if you could hold those for a minute and first give an opportunity, if there's anybody who doesn't understand the proposal or has a question about the proposal, wants some clarification, is there anybody who has any questions about how this proposal works or how the MSIG works? I see Marco has your hands up. Is your question or comment related to clarification, Marco?
Yeah, you said temporary. That means there is an expiration date of the contract?
No, just once we have that code to do it automatically, I would propose to switch to that, but there is no expiration.
Yeah, I'll also just add a little bit more of contextual information there too. So we discussed this back last time, I think Eden+Fractal meeting number 29 or 28, when we discussed the MSIG. And what Vlad is referring to here, I think, is the idea that the delegates with the Eden+Fractal delegation system could be the MSIG signatories. Currently, it's just manually done, picking people, and then it stays until we manually change it. There is potential that there could be an automated system whereby delegates get the signatory power automatically. That's there's actually in the genesis.eden accounts with Eden on EOS, that function exists. It hasn't been thoroughly tested, and we haven't used it in this format where we have 4 different councils of rolling delegates. So there'd be some work to accomplish that. I'm not sure how long it would take to accomplish that. Perhaps months, something, I'm not sure, but that's basically, I think, what Vlad was referring to about the possibility of having it automatically changing delegates. Is that correct, Vlad? Did I describe that pretty well?
Yep, I hope to have it done this quarter.
Oh, excellent. Is that something that you're working on?
Well, it's not part of the first feature set, but yeah, it's still very important.
Cool, I agree, and I'm looking forward to that very much. I'm looking forward to talking about that more and then seeing your progress. Also, in case anybody's not familiar, Vlad's doing really exciting work with Zeus Fractal and Eden Fractal, building new interfaces and stuff like that too. So a lot to look forward to, and thanks so much, Vlad. Okay, cool. Does anybody have any other questions for clarification, or shall we move into reactions now? I have some reactions that I can share, but I'd like to also, give everybody the opportunity to share their thoughts first. This is there's been a lot of discussion about this in the chats, the Eden+Fractal Telegram group, and in other meetings. So I'm sure people have some thoughts. Does anybody have any last questions before we move on to reactions, or would anybody like to go ahead? I know Marco was sharing a bit of a thought about the weights before, so if Marco wants to share that, that's cool. Oh, I see Patrick raise his hand now too. Patrick actually made the proposal back in week 28, I think, to initially change the MSIG. So that's another relevant piece of info here. Patrick, what do you think?
That was on episode 27. We decided at the majority to update the MSIG. That was an immediate proposal, yes, no, and there was a majority of yes. Now we are into the how we have to do the things. And I am advocating myself that before to think about threshold and all these things, these details, I am totally aligned with the proposal of Vlad, stating that a guy or a girl that have to be into the MSIG should be someone that is an active member, or let's say more precisely, someone that is participating, attending to those meetings, and also contributing, because that makes no sense for me, and maybe for others, to have some people into the MSIG that are indeed don't contributing and not participating. And I am very happy also with the things going on with Vlad development, willing to do the things rotating, the MSIG like rotating. We have not yet this feature, but at least at the beginning, we can think about who has to stay into the MSIG, who has to be added. And for the people that were not contributing anymore, like for example, Chuck is no more contributing since a long time. I am totally in favor that those people that are no more contributing are removed. And if they want to join again the MSIG, it's because they will contribute again. So nothing is frozen in the stone. So, and agreeing with the Vlad proposal. Just want to share that.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Patrick. I really appreciate it. Marco?
I'm not sure if it fits into the stage, but how hard would it be to make the proposal, give it an expiration date, just in case?
So after expiration, what would happen?
Yeah, that would be it. But if we have the expiration date, we don't get locked into not being able to manage people. So it go back to whoever's holding the key or whatever. It's fast. How hard would it be? I just stuff happens in these on EOS so fast, and trends and whatever, peer pressure or whatever it may be. So I just like having that idea, because I know Patrick's going to be here if Patrick's not, or if Dan's not, or if you're not, the meeting may not happen. So that's why I bring it out there. We talk about 11 people. I don't think we had 11 people consistently for 3 months. So that's why I said, if it's an expiration day, it can be changed. It's like a countdown timer. So I just wonder how hard it would be, and just to keep it in mind. I feel a lot more comfortable from what you described to that extra point for 2 days. That got a lot of comfort.
Well, yeah, it depends. What would you like to do after the expiration? Like, it's possible to set different expirations, but what would happen?
Well, Dan hosts the meeting. Patrick funds the meeting. Tadas has developed something, or at least he's added the delegations, the new delegation idea. You've done the consortium app, right? Sometimes they get confused. So because you guys actually have laid a brick, it could always default to you if we don't renew it. Because you guys have some, just the historical record. I'm here week in, week out, but I'm not going to advocate for myself for that. Not saying I'm not going to be here, I will, but I don't want you to take my word. I want you to see any action. Without Dan, will the meeting happen? Without the app, will the meeting happen? Without the funding, will the meeting happen? And thereby, if anything were to happen, HiFiDAO attracts all these members and there's just a few of us left, and then funds get locked in or whatever. I'd hate to see that. So it's just a backup plan. I'm spending way too much time talking about it from what you said about the extra point over a couple of days. So maybe there's something compromised in that. Yeah, I'd like to pass it.
Thank you, Marco, for sharing your thoughts. I see Patrick has his hands up, so I'll pass on in a moment, but I want to just respond with a couple of clarifications here too. So one, the countdown timer, as Vlad asked, it's not clear what you'd add to the countdown timer. I mean, to something you could do in the blockchain, have a countdown to something, but you have to pre-program that, as far as I understand, and then you could informally make a countdown timer, but then it'd be up to the people on the MSIG to actually do that. And of course, if it's not on the blockchain, then they might not, or they might forget, or whatever reason could have pop up. Secondly, something that we didn't discuss previously that I think is some pretty helpful base context and knowledge is the current configuration of the Eden.Fractal MSIG. So currently the Eden.Fractal MSIG, or the account rather, is secured with a MSIG with 6 people on the MSIG. Basically, I started up the Eden.Fractal account back when we first started in June, and then I set it to the first 6 people who are ranked 4, 5, or 6 in the first week. And there's weights of 5 out of 7. So then there's 6 people, and then there's plus the 48-hour time delay, as Vlad was saying before. So that's a total weight of 7 between 6 people each with 1 weight, and a weight of 1 for the 2-day delay. So the owner permission, currently it is Vlad, myself, Patrick, Felix, Chuck, and James Mart. I think I counted all 6 there. And so it's 5 of 7. So in order to change the owner permission, then we would need either 4 out of 6 people plus 48 hours delay, or 5 out of 6 people to agree on change. And the owner permission, I think everybody's familiar, but that can change anything on the account, including changing the owner permission to some other account. The active permission can change anything but changing the owner permission, but can make all sorts of code changes or any sort of other transactions on the account. And that currently requires 3 out of 7 to be able to do that, which means either 3 people to sign it who are currently on there, or 2 people plus a 48-hour delay. So just to be clear about that. And I think what you're saying about 11 people, Marco, just to be clear, you wouldn't need all 11 people to sign anything, and they wouldn't all need to be on the call. We've never really used the owner permission other than just to set it once, and we've only used the active permission, I think maybe for 1 code change. And other than that, all the other times that we've used it are just for the weekly Eden and EOS respect distributions. So that's one thing that we do every week that uses the active permission, or potentially a custom permission that's set up for that. So it wouldn't require 11 people, and it wouldn't even require the people to be at the meeting. It would just be sometime during the week, the people on the MSIG would need to occasionally sign a transaction, and it wouldn't be all the people. It would just be that threshold, however high we set the threshold. I hope that helps to clarify a little bit. And I saw Patrick had his hands up, and Perry does now too. Patrick, was there anything else you wanted to add there? Or if not, then I'll pass it on to Perry. Okay, thanks. Perry, do you have thoughts? You're muted. Perry, you're still muted. We can't hear you.
Thank you. Forgive me if I missed something, but I was a little distracted on submitting my form. I've got that worked out now. Two bits of feedback. One is that I think that we should allow people who are not participating to fall off the MSIG. I don't think that we should have people on the MSIG. So I'm going to disagree with you, Dan, on that one. It's a rare occasion. And the second point was about, well, I'll remember it in just a second. So that was the point that I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback, Perry. I'd be curious to hear if anybody else has any thoughts about that or about this in general. And also, Perry, when you remember that, then please let us know. Another thing too, I think that is probably helpful to facilitate discussion is if I just briefly provide a little bit of the explanation of the alternate proposals that I made as well. So I made 2 alternate proposals. One included having Chuck on there, and one did not have Chuck on there as well. So I see you raise your hand. I think you remember it. So I can explain a little bit more about the difference between the proposal I made and Vlad made in a moment. But first, Perry, was there something that you remembered there? You're muted, Perry.
Yeah, I want to support your idea of staying in sync with the fractally practice of 2/3 plus 1 or something close. I think that's a positive thing, and not keep the threshold so low. So those are my 2 comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. Yeah, I guess I'll take my moderator hat off for a moment and just share some of my thoughts here. So I'm in complete agreement with this, and I was pretty concerned about this proposal yesterday because I think that it would be detrimental for the community to have too low of a threshold for the owner and active permissions. And currently with 5 of 11, so the owner permission that Vlad proposed has a threshold of 6, and that includes the 48-hour delay, which basically means there's 11 people on the MSIG, and then 5 people could do anything that they wanted with the account because they have the owner permission. They could transfer it to somebody else or make any changes, and only 4 people to do the active permission, which can do basically anything except for change it. So I shared some comments in the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat, and I'm also starting to put together an article. It's a very early draft article, but it's at edencreators.com/msig, where I kind of started to curate some of my thoughts. And just keep in mind that it's very early. I put it together really quickly this morning just so I could have it together. But basically, I wrote out a bunch of different kind of concerns that are all basically related to the threshold and advising the community to be careful about this. So one of the analogies that I made, as you brought up, Perry, was the having a supermajority. Like EOS block producers require 15 to 21. Or when we're doing the consensus, the Eden+Fractal consensus that Tadas created, and we have councils, we need 3 out of 4 councils. That's 75%. Or if we do the Eden+Fractal respect consensus, then we need supermajority 2/3 plus 1. And currently, the proposal has about 45% approval. You only need 5 out of 11 people to approve. So I think that the game theory is off there, and that could potentially create a lot of conflict and drama in the community and split or something like that. So I made 2 proposals. One was including Chuck, because I do think there's merit in including Chuck, and I can go into that further if we want. I shared some messages about that in the Telegram chat, but I also appreciate the desire to remove people who aren't participating too. So I'm really not sticking too hard on that. So that's why I made 2 proposals. One was including Chuck and one was not. But if the community prefers, then I would advocate for doing the proposal where we just increase the threshold. What I suggested is increasing the owner permission threshold to 8 rather than 5, so that would require 7 people rather than 5 people, and making active permission, which is 1 lower, which would require 6 people rather than 4 people, and then also making a custom permission for the submit ranks action, which is what we do every week. And then that would still have a permission of 4. I know this is kind of a lot of information maybe to keep in your head too. So if anybody wants, then I can share the links where you can read it and so forth too. And I'm happy to reiterate or anything. I'm sure Vlad would be happy to. And I know that might have been kind of out of order too, because we tend to like to take it one topic at a time here, but I figured they're both basically the same topic. So it's helpful to provide that context. Also, just as a general note, we're about a half hour in right now. So if we do want to pass a proposal or move on to a different topic, then please feel free to let us know if you're a delegate and you have any thoughts about that. I see Marco has his hands up now, so I'll pass on to Marco now. What do you think, Marco?
Blockchain is for everybody, as long as there's 2 people involved, and I use it for myself to connect with my future person. A governance blockchain. And the idea that Dan Larimer proposed in his book is for larger systems. As Vlad said, it's temporary. I really like the idea of having more people, but is it practical? Is it going to be secure? I don't think so. I have a higher concern of having not enough signatories for any change, for needed change. than to try to meet what mathematics at Dan Larimer had initially proposed for like 10,000 people or something like that. So, and by the expiration date, really defaulting back to, and Chuck's not here, so, I can't advocate for him being on there. So by expiration date, I meant referring it back to default on Dan, Patrick, Vlad, maybe Thomas. So that would just be 4 people. That's just security. That's not where we're going. And I do bring it up because Hyperdao is probably may strain this community. Hopefully it adds people, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, if you're going to do that, let's use us as well. So come here if you also want to join that. But if it does, and fewer people join here, and we bring up that permission to above 5 or 6 or whatever, what if we do run into a problem? I'm going to be here. I think your other 4 will be here, so that's 5. So what you're saying is great, except for small groups, and blockchain governance is not meant for small groups. That's what private chains are doing. They're not really blockchains. So anyway, my thoughts.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Marco. Yeah, I mean, it's a balancing game where we want to have the balance of convenience and security. If you make the threshold very low, like hypothetically, if it was 1 or 2, then it'd be very convenient, very easy to pass transactions, but it would lower the security because then 1 or 2 people could do anything they want with the account. If you make it 10 or 11 or 9, then it'd be very secure in a sense because people can't change things. It would favor the status quo, but then it would make it very difficult to change. So it's, I think, a matter of balancing it. It can work for small groups or large groups. It's just a matter of how high we want to set the threshold. And also another thing too, well, 2 things. One, first, I just like to give Vlad an opportunity if you want to respond to any of this or share your thoughts. And then secondly, suggest that we could potentially break this proposal into 2 different parts because there are several components here. One is who's on the MSIG. So we could potentially agree to that first and then agree to the thresholds afterwards. That might be easier to take it one piece by piece. I'd be curious if anybody has any thoughts about that. And Vlad, do you have any thoughts about the discussion so far?
Well, you summarized it pretty well. Like if the threshold is smaller, it means we are more agile. We can pass things faster, move faster. If the threshold is too high, there is risk that, let's say, 3 individuals, they just disappear from EOS community, and then we are not able to change anything. Then it's, so we are on hold. And from my experience, usually the problem is that things move slow. It's difficult to get people to sign. So yeah, I would be okay to increasing the threshold a little bit, but I would like to hear what other delegates think.
Thanks, Vlad. Yeah, there's many delegates in the call that we haven't heard from. Tadas, Patrick. Okay, cool. We got some hands raised. Tadas, what do you think?
Yeah, one thing that is that I don't think we have to get this perfect. I think that Vlad's proposal is better than our current MSIG, so we could just see it as a step in the right direction. And yeah, I don't particularly like Dan's idea of making active permission much higher. I mean, increasing the threshold for active permission, because as Vlad mentioned, the drawback is that it might be harder to get the M6 for the rewards to get signed. I guess maybe like the best of both worlds might be to have owner permission to like 7 and leave active at 5. Just a suggestion, something to think about.
Thank you, Tadas. Something that I think might have been lost in my proposal that I'd like to clarify and hear your thoughts on. So I proposed making a custom permission that has a threshold of 5. So it has the same threshold as Vlad proposed. That custom permission is specifically for the submit ranks action that we do every week. So I still propose that that would be 5. So it would be just as easy or difficult, pretty easy, I think, to be able to sign that transaction every week to send out the weekly distribution rewards. And that's why I felt like we could raise owner and active permission, because we use those much more rarely, and those could be more secure, whereas the custom permission just for the submit ranks would still be a threshold of 5. Does that change your thoughts? Do you have some thoughts about that?
Yeah, thanks. I missed it. Although, I don't know, setting owner permission too high is also might not be a best idea, because, for example, active permission, if it does something bad, then owner permission might need to react I mean, if the active permission uses time delay to do something bad, then we need owner permission to be able to react fast enough, like in 2 days. So that's the risk of, I see the risk in making owner permission too high. So yeah, just some thoughts.
Thanks, Das. And yeah, to be clear, so maybe a reiteration, but just make sure that we're all on the same page. Vlad's proposal has the owner permission at 6 and the active permission at 5. So that means that in order to change the owner permission, that would require 5 people out of 11 plus a 48-hour delay, whereas the active permission would require 4 people plus a 48-hour delay. And then I proposed a weight or a threshold for owner permission of 8, which would require 7 people plus a 48-hour delay, and the active would be 6 people plus a 48-hour delay. I'm also potentially open to, there is some room between these two, between having 5 people and 7 people. Basically, that's the difference, though. The owner permission that Vlad proposed has an owner of 5 people threshold, whereas the one that I proposed has 7 people. And then I made active permission 6 people instead of 4 people. And the custom permission was same with 4 people. I don't know if Tadas has any more thoughts about that. I'd be happy to hear it, or Patrick's had his hand up for a while now, so I'm happy to hear that as well.
There are many subjects into this proposal. First, who has to be into the MSIG and on which criterion? Participation, contribution, who has to be removed? That's the other point. Now the thresholds. So I am very aligned with the fact that we have to go agile step by step. And I think the first things to be, if I have to programmate something as a developer into the mind of a developer, first you think about the logical of your program, and then you address the specific point or unexpected point. And for me, the thresholds, there's limits. That's great, but we could maybe, and that's the goal of the brainstorming session, brainstorm about that into a next brainstorming session. By the way, that's Tuesday coming, the 31 at 16 UTC. Maybe we should address those talk of you, Dan, that you have brought up very, let's say, recently into the chat. That's I want to say, that's necessitate some, let's say, exactly brainstorming. And I think we should discuss there about the pros, the cons of the threshold with you, Vlad, Tadas, and other one that want to join for sure. We are not just a little group there, but seems to be that we are always a little bit the same. And yeah, I would go very step by step, agile. Otherwise, the risk is we are going in circle and not making some, let's say, traction, or we are like a little bit always discussing the 7 weeks, the same subject. We could be here still stuck at for 7 weeks. That's not a critic at all. It's just a constatation. So yeah, think about agility. Also, like Pascal mentioned into the chat. Yeah, just my little 2 cents on that. Make the things step by step a little bit.
Yeah, sounds great, Patrick. I think that's a great idea. There's a lot to discuss, and I did just share a lot of new ideas over the past day or two, and could perhaps organize this better. I was also thinking too that we could display the 2 configurations side by side on the same spreadsheet, because Vlad made a spreadsheet. I've had to show it before that was helped by Tadas, and I also made a spreadsheet too, so we can put them in one spot so we can see it easier. And then, yeah, just my personal opinion, I think that would probably be best to have a discussion about that at the brainstorming session. It's already been super helpful, these brainstorming sessions, for many other purposes. Perhaps we can reach consensus today about who to add or remove, because that's something we discussed more at the previous brainstorming session, and that's perhaps an easier decision to make. But yeah, thank you, Patrick, for sharing that. Looking forward to discussing it more, and look curious to hear Pascal's thoughts now. What do you think, Pascal?
Thanks, Dan. I just want to mention that as you mentioned before, Dan, it's a balance game. You know, I will suggest we don't put the threshold too high, so that we cannot advance anymore in making things happen. So if we have a good fractal governance, it will avoid the status quo mentality. I think we have tools that we use already. Let's say we are meeting every week. Every week we have a meeting. It's already a tool. It's already a way of saying which is active and which is not active. So from that, the first proposition of Vlad was remove non-active and then keep active members. So that is good. For me, it's an element of security there already. First one. The second one is if we keep the threshold too high, we may face a situation where members would quit. We have this, in a fractal governance, we have this right to quit if things are not moving. So I believe the not to lower, just the like 5 out of 11, the lower it says, the best we will be advancing. And then we have balance in terms of our weekly meetings, and in terms of keeping active and non-active members, that mechanism, keeping it working. So if we balance all these 2 factors, we can keep our multi-sig threshold lower, not too high, because it's difficult when you have to get up to 2 cents on something. It's just my thought. So I would support to keep it not too high, lower, and then keep what we have, the mechanism of removing non-active members in the process in our weekly meetings. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Pascal. A couple of follow-up and maybe a follow-up question for you too, if you don't mind. So one, the current proposal does still include James Mart and Felix, in the only person who hasn't been participating. James Mart and Felix both haven't participated in a while, but there's been a couple of proposals there. Vlad reached out to them, I think, and they're still interested in being on there. So that is a consideration that's in this proposal. It's only removing Chuck is currently under discussion right now, but currently James, Mart, and Felix are still on there. I also wanted to just provide a little bit of the other side too. I saw, or a little bit of context, or I guess maybe a little bit of a pushback. I saw you wrote in the chat, a good fractal governance should avoid status quo. And I agree that, status quo has got to improve. There's the whole concept of the tyranny of status quo from molecular animals and so forth. But in sometimes the status quo is good. Like you want to have a stable foundation. We're meeting, things are going well, where the MSIG is pretty secure right now. It's not owned by some, random person like that. Hypothetically, if we just decided, okay, let's make the MSIG 1, the threshold 1, and we're just going to pick, a random person to do it, then they could, take that account and then do something different with it. And then the status quo could become much worse. So there is that other downside too, but I see you're saying we do want to have flexibility. And then I'd be curious to hear your thoughts too, or other delegates as well. If you have thoughts about what the ideal weight would be, because I mean, Vlad's was 5 of 11 people. My proposal was 7 of 11 people. There's also the potential for 6 of 11 people, or it could be higher or lower. So I'd be curious if you have thoughts about specifically what weight would be best. If you don't, that's okay too. But I'm just trying to also just get some specifics too. We can always come back to it if you want. But do you have any thoughts you want to share with that, Pascal, before we move on? Or
I haven't go into details of if 5 or 7, which is the best one. I believe as a delegate we can find a consensus to keep. If we agree globally that we have to keep it flexible, I think 6 is okay. 6 is a good. We can align ourselves in how EOS block producers, they have been doing for the last 5 years. It's working, so we don't need to change too many things. But the general thought is, let's not make it difficult to sign contracts. And then from there, we can pick a number that we fit, like as a community, as delegates, what's the best. So 6 out of 11 is good, But now I'm not, it's my personal opinion. So, but I pick 6 because I know every week I can monitor members. I can see who is active, who is doing, which is progressing, who is keeping us back. So I have tools to measure the contribution of other members. That's why I'll keep it at 6. If I don't have those tools, I would say let's put it at 8. It will make it difficult to say things, but it's my personal opinion. So but I wanted to think about it.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much, Pascal, for the thoughtful feedback. That's very helpful. And yeah, I do agree there are, key differences, being that we're meeting here on every week. It is a little bit different than, say, block producers like that, how we get to see each other every week. So that's something to keep in mind. I see we have 3 people with their hands up, Perry, Marco, and Patrick. I'd also be curious to hear, we only have 13 minutes left in this round, and Vlad has his hands up. I suppose first I'll give it to Vlad because he physically raised his hand. He was the proposer of it. So Vlad, do you want to go first before Perry?
Yeah, I think quick way how we can resolve that, if just each delegate would write in the chat what he would like to have as active and what he would like to have as owner, and then we can just take the average and go with that.
Oh, very good. Yeah, why not? Yeah,
okay.
So.
Interesting suggestion. Oh, by the way, there's another question too. Sorry, Perry, but just one thing I wanted to respond to that I forgot to a little while ago. CAC asked, what if more than half of the people on the MSIG die at the same time? So that would, of course, be very unfortunate, but it's also good to think about edge cases too. We want to make sure that the community can thrive beyond any individuals. So thanks for the question.
But so also, even keep the smart, even keep the smart contract open source, and then this scenario happens, let's say all the delegate die, we just take we fuck the system. That is fuckable. So if that's just if in case it happens, it can happen, who knows? So
yep,
so
exactly.
Let's keep things open source.
So it's all open source, and it's all open data on the chain too. So this is just for the Eden.Fractal account. So there's a lot of benefit to having, the Eden.Fractal account because it's good branding and it makes it simple. And also it perhaps it could cause confusion if there needs to be a fork in the community and stuff like that. So there is potential for that kind of reputational damage or just confusion and so forth. But it is ultimately all forkable. So if there was a catastrophe, like people died or if people just stopped participating or stopped answering for whatever reason, then basically that would be the option. And anybody could do that technically. Patrick, we had a couple of delegates speaking here in the chat, and Patrick said, let's first, well, actually, first, so following up on what Vlad said about suggesting delegates write their preferred thresholds, Vlad wrote he'd go with active 5 and owner 7. I don't know if that's weights or people. Perhaps you could clarify that, Vlad, but that's more similar to my proposal. And then Patrick said, let's discuss about the people, then about the thresholds, and Tadas gave a thumbs up. So we got some delegates speaking here. I think that's probably also a good idea. And Vlad wrote weights there, not people. But I know that Perry and Marco have had their hands up for a while too. If other delegates want to help guide the conversation about whether we talk about the people first, or if we go with Vlad's suggestion about listing the thresholds, then I suppose let us know in the chat. But in the meantime, I'll pass it on to Perry.
Thank you, Dan. I just want to quickly recognize that as a developer, I can see the dilemma that Vlad and Tadas and anybody developing an application for an active decentralized group. That is not an easy position that they're putting themselves in. It's difficult enough when you just have a single boss. You know, do we push this live or not? Right? You know, it's that in itself has its own problems. So trying to do this with a group that's decentralized, that's meeting once a week, I empathize with that position. That's not easy. However, that needs to be balanced with the responsibility that it is a group, and it is going to be more difficult. And I think it's a valid argument to keep those thresholds at a level that is on par, because you are developing for a group. So I want to recognize that contrast, that dilemma, empathize with that, and also make a distinction between the thresholds required for the ranking that I think you mentioned, Dan. I think those are different, and they can be reasonably lower, but I don't believe below 2/3. I think the one for the contracts should be at least 2/3. Absolutely, the actual contract code that runs the application, that has to be at least 2/3 plus one. So that's what I think. And I'm glad that all the code is open source. I heard that. Is that true? Is all the code that's being produced completely open source? And I don't happen to know where that repository is. I'm just curious if you could post the GitHub for that. I would love to see that. And that's awesome that it is. So thank you, and that's my comment.
Thank you, Perry. I'll try to get the GitHub, and I also have an article with some more writing about the tooling that I'll share in the chat too, edencares.com/tooling, and Vlad just shared the GitHub repository. I think there's a couple GitHub repositories too. Maybe Vlad could clarify that, because there's a couple different places I've seen it. And then, yeah, also to clarify what you were saying too. So in all proposals, the submit ranks action, or the action for active key, is below 2/3 plus one right now. It's all 4 people out of 11. So that's something like 40% or so, because that's the weekly action. That's one of the reasons why I raised active permission in my proposal, to make that a bit more secure. But then even that was still only 55% or so. And then the owner permission, if we did a weight of 8, then that would still be slightly less than 2/3 plus one. So I was trying to be a bit more conservative to make it more agile, because I appreciate that. But I think that there is, like you said, having over 2/3 plus one, I think that could be helpful. So I think potentially either having an owner permission of 8, as I propose, or even 9 could be helpful to provide more security. But just to provide some more thoughts, and I do think I'll try to get the spreadsheet up too, so we can look at this visually, because I feel like that would be helpful. And Vlad just also shared the other 2 GitHub links as well in the chat too. And Patrick also wrote about the GitHub in my app too. So I'll pass it on to Marco now.
I'd like to vote on this. And I believe both Vlad and Dan kind of have kind of agreement on 5 and 7, and I can support that. I will comment, as regular attendance grows, so should the MSIG. We're small, So we can deal with the small thing. And as far as what's his name? People that haven't been here in a while that we still respect, give them a preferred, inclusion. So if they come, we can add them pretty quickly. But if they're not here, there's no reason to confuse it. So again, I'd like to vote on this, and 4, 5, and 7, if you guys are as well.
Thank you, Marco. A couple comments in the chat too. So to Das and well, first up, there still is a bit of disagreement, I think, between Vlad and myself, because he said weights and not people. Maybe I'm not totally sure. We'd have to look at it. But to Das wrote in the chat, I think what he's suggesting: custom for submit ranks at threshold of 5, active at 6, and owner at 7, which is 1 lower than I proposed for active and owner. And Vlad said that he agreed to that too. There's more comments about this too, and Tas is saying he's open to change his mind. If we do want to pass a proposal, unless the delegates want to extend the time, then we should do so in the last 5 minutes or so. And Pascal said, I propose we remove members by consensus. Patrick also proposed this earlier too. So perhaps if we do want to vote, then maybe we should just vote on who's on the MSIG right now, and then we could have a brainstorming session and then discuss the exact weights and vote that in next week. But anyway, that's a suggestion. I feel like that might be what Patrick suggests, but I'll pass on to Patrick now. What do you think?
I just want to remind people the goal of this MSIG is not just to reward EOS and Eden Respect and NFTs to the people when they are joining the Eden+Fractal. By the way, for the moment, it's me that I am funding this Eden+Fractal. I expect to see other people to fund this Eden+Fractal MSIG. And I think really about existing Eden+Fractal members, if they had the chance to be on Eden on EOS election, Tom 5, and they have reached the second round and they are delegate level 1, why do not use some of the part of your delegate level 1 funds and to give to the Eden+Fractal MSIG? That could be very, let's say, encouraged. I don't want to, let's say, tell you have to do this. Nothing about that. Just let's say an incentivized mechanism in order that we are bridging later on Eden+Fractal with Eden on EOS, not merge, but connecting. So, and the MSIG could be also used not only for the reward distribution, but could be used when we have to decide about something. ENF, when they have to decide about something, for example, they do a proposal onto an MSIG. So us into Eden+Fractal, when we want to pass something, okay, there is consortium, nice, but sometimes we could also use the MSIG for that. So that's why I am in favor of an MSIG, and also to dilute the funds to reduce the liability. That was in June, we were discussing about to create an MSIG. There was James Smart. Now he's not coming anymore, but he's so core systemic that he has to stay into the MSIG. And the others that have to be deleted, that's the people that are not, let's say, attending plus contributing. So, and they can join later on if they want to really join. So I want to be focused on the who has to be added, who has to be deleted, and the thresholds. If we answer now to 6 of 11 or 7 or whatever, we will make maybe a wrong decision now. So that's why we need some brainstorming, clarification, round, sociocratic into the brainstorming, and to see that quietly with Dan, your proposal is, I love it, but I want to continue on where I personally suggest that we should move on where we were coming on this 17 January, and we're supposed to go on episode number 33 to speak about the MSIG. Now we are episode 34. Let's make like episode 27. So I think we should be focused on the people that are into the MSIG, and then the the technical aspects of the things, because that we can always discuss. I am totally agreeing that's dangerous if the MSIG is not correctly weighted and the thresholds are not correctly set. Totally. But first point, based on the people, because after all, that's all about people into this Eden+Fractal. We are a EOS digital extended network, and extended because we have human in it. So, okay, I stop here. Just when to begin.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks, Patrick, for sharing the thoughts. A couple notes here. So one, thanks again so much for supporting the community, both with the donations to the MSIG and builders and all the great work that you're doing. I also shared some messages in the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat too, encouraging people to also be inspired by Patrick's example. So thank you so much. As a logistical note, we're past 18 UTC right now. So I mean, technically it'd be over and the delegates we're not able to make a proposal, but I think if the delegates are okay with extending it for another few minutes, if we do want to pass any proposals now, there are two kind of competing proposals or two different suggestions from delegates. So Patrick suggested that we just vote on the people on the MSIG right now, and then we can discuss the thresholds during the brainstorming session. And I would agree with that, but also Vlad wrote, he proposed that the delegates vote on the custom permission thresholds right now, custom permission level weight of 5, active 6, owner 7. And Vlad wrote that he thought, in my opinion, we spent too much time on that, other stuff to brainstorm on. I think that what I would propose is that we take Patrick's advice and vote on the people on the MSIG, and then we can briefly discuss it during the brainstorming session, and then we can discuss other topics if there's more to discuss. But I do think it's a helpful topic to discuss in more detail and just make sure that we're getting it right. And I don't think there's a huge rush to set it. We can set it next week and just to set who's on the MSIG right now or who will be there. So I would propose that, but also Vlad made that proposal too. So I'd be curious if anybody wants to make an alternate proposal. We got a thumbs up from Eric. But would that be okay with you, just voting on the people on the MSIG right now, and then perhaps discussing the thresholds a bit during the meeting, the brainstorming session, and then doing it next week? Or do you think it'd be much better to try to vote for everything right now? And I suppose we could also just open up to a delegate decision about what we want to do. Perhaps that's the best way to do it. Do you have any thoughts about this first, Vlad, or should we open it up to a delegate vote?
I have a question. The ones who are added newly to the MSIG, should we like introduce ourselves, you know, to I'm not sure if everybody knows everyone here, so just to make some clarification on the topic.
So that I see Patrick has his hands up. I'll just briefly respond to that first, Sebastian. I think we're kind of over time right now, so we could just vote on it. And I think most people know all the delegates, but I think it'd be cool to hear from the, or most people know all the people going to MSIG, but I think it'd be cool to hear from it too. So I'm happy to go either way. Patrick, what do you think?
I just want to say that the people that are proposed to be added into the MSIG are people that we have discussed a lot of time with. Gabriel, Perry, who else is not here? There was Andrew Ware that mentioned that he want to be on, but he's not here today. But he has expressed his intent. Perry has also expressed in large his intent here. So I think we have people that are good intent, and how I can say that they have good intent because I am a bastard. Okay, so that's no. It's I think when you can discuss with someone and have some sometimes let's say divergence of view, that's happened sometimes. But at the end, think about the ideas and the information that those people are sharing. So we have good people here. I am very confident with the people that we had to the MSIG, and I am very happy if we remove the people that are not more active. They could always join. And by the way, they will prove their intent by joining again and contributing. That will be the proof. So let's move on. Otherwise, we are here in 7 episodes more.
So thanks, Patrick. Tadas also write, he doesn't like pushing decisions over time. Don't need to rush to pass it right now. And he writes, otherwise next time will be even more late. So I'd also be happy with that too. If we want to just leave it there and then come more prepared next week, and we can approve everything, and we could potentially approve it very quickly in the hour after the breakout room, so we can discuss other topics after that too. Perhaps we can just discuss it and come to an informal consensus here, if everybody's able to stick around, and then we can formalize the consensus next week. Tadas, I'd be curious if you have thoughts about that, or if other delegates have thoughts about the best way to proceed from here.
Yeah, I support the decision to pass it next time. We will prepare maybe a good proposal, which Dan and Vlad and me agree on for the next week, and maybe we will pass then, or I think we will at least pass the decision for who to add or remove.
Voilà.
Okay.
For me, we could already discuss now who to add, just agree on or not. We have the names. We have Perry, we have Gabriel, we have there was Andrew, and there is Marco. Marco also.
And
correct,
also,
Vlad? There was.
And also Sebastian.
Oh, sorry, Sebastian also. Two luminaries. Yeah. So, just the people. If you agree with the people that we want to add, say just yes into the chat or no. Very easy, no?
Sure.
This decision won't mean anything unless we pass this as delegates. So I don't see the point to do this right now.
Okay, I am a delegate since I am a delegate still, because a delegate is for 4 weeks. I am still a delegate currently, and as a delegate, I just propose to make a vote of confidence on the people that will be had. At least just that, and then we, or what?
Yeah, but it is written in our Eden+Fractal process that we pass proposals during the hour after breakout rooms, and now we are already over time. So the question here is, are we passing proposals over time or not? I suggest that we don't.
Okay, so you don't want to separate who to add, who to delete, and you want to mix that all together with the threshold?
No, we can pass it separately, but I suggest doing it next week.
So next week we vote on the who to add, who to delete, and then the threshold. We will come back of our brainstorming session on the 31. That's Tuesday at 16 UTC. So when we join the episode number 35 of Eden+Fractal meeting, we will have already brainstorm. Oh, that's the good point. And by the way, people that are here, you are, let's say, not in that's not required, but you are encouraged to join the Eden+Fractal brainstorming session on Tuesday at 16 UTC next Tuesday. The Zoom link will be published into the Eden+Fractal, correct, Dan? Into the Eden+Fractal Telegram. And Marco mentioned me that he want to, that I remind him by sending him an email, but Marco, you can also see the Eden+Fractal Telegram, and you will see the Zoom link by Dan, and everyone can join. That's not just Dan, Vlad, Tadas, and me, and there was also sometimes Lenny also joining. So I think Gabriel is very welcome also, Jorge, Sebastian, because the threshold things is not just about one guy deciding the thresholds, or 2 guys. That's something important for the whole Eden+Fractal. So don't take that too much as a decision easy. That's not an easy decision, like Perry mentioned. That's something very dynamic topic. That's not easy. So, okay.
Yeah, I agree, Patrick. Thank you for sharing that. And I also very much encourage everybody to join the Eden+Fractal brainstorming sessions every other Tuesday 16 UTC. And I also just shared the link to the Eden+Fractal Telegram account or Telegram channel group, t.me/EdenFractal. So I encourage everyone to join there and join the discussions asynchronously each week. Of course, we meet here every Wednesday at 16 UTC, 15:30 UTC, and everybody's welcome to join. We are over 10 minutes past the time that we would have made proposals. I do think perhaps something we could also discuss during the brainstorming session that I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about the DAS and Patrick and Vlad and everybody too, is the idea of potentially extending times when we're passing proposals. So I think Tadas makes a great point. We should respect the moderator guidelines that we said, where we have an hour to pass proposals. But I think there could be some situations in which we have a proposal that we really want to pass and we have to go maybe 3 minutes over to do that. And then during that case, in that situation, I think that the right action would probably be to take a vote with the delegates to see if they want to extend it for 5 minutes to pass it. And then the delegates could be able to pass it for longer than an hour. But I suppose that's something we can discuss during the brainstorming session, and I'm curious to hear what people think about that. And perhaps, unless anybody has other guidance about the best way to proceed here, one, we've been going for over 2 hours, so I think we can wrap it up soon, but I think now it might be a good opportunity to just kind of continue this discussion a little bit. One, we started the sociocratic method, but we didn't continue it fully. So one thing I'd be curious if anybody has any objections to the people who are being proposed to being added on the MSIG. And then also, if nobody has objections, or if people do afterwards, I think it might be cool, as Sebastian recommended, about people who are potentially joining the MSIG, if they want to introduce themselves or say a couple of quick words or anything like that. I think that might be a good way to proceed. I'm open to feedback or guidance if people want to do it a different way. But first, I'll just leave it open if anybody wants to jump in with a thought. And I'll also ask, does anybody have any objections to adding Perry, Gabriel, Sebastian, Marco, and Andrew to the MSIG? And who's the last person who I missed here?
Two luminaries, Sebastian.
No, I included that. I'll open up the proposal again so I can see it. I just forgot. Oh,
So
CAC.
Andrew, Gabriel, Marco, two luminaries, Sebastian, and Perry?
CAC. And Perry and CAC, yeah.
And sorry, and CIC, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have raised my hand because I just want to say I have no objection on the people that are added, because now I cannot see any objection. And I think the objections could come at any time going on, because the trust is about reliability, accountability, doing the things and do the actions. So for me, that's my definition of the trust. You can only say you have trust in someone or into someone when you have regularly, let's say, experimented. So now we will add these people into this MSIG. I hope really that those people will be committed and make their role by doing into this MSIG. And what is the role to be into this MSIG? Let's say the first role, it's when we have the submit ranks and we receive the MSIG into the block explorer. The people that are into the MSIG have to go to approve the submit ranks, and the last one has to execute, to approve and execute the MSIG. So I have fast always approve and execute the MSIG. The only time where I was not able, that was when I was in Mexico at Playa del Carmen, and I was not able to do so. And I was coming to Dan and stating, oh yeah, that could be cool if there are other people that just me, I speak for me, into this MSIG, because I don't want to be, let's say, responsible to press the button every time. And Dan has made a 48-hour delay. That's good. That's make that just 2 people of the current MSIG have to accept. And I was thinking, oh, but if there is only 2 people and the 48 hour, that's not enough. We should have other people into this MSIG. That shows that you are interested to be engaged. And that's that. So I have no objection on the people that will be added. With all my heart, my soul, and my mind, I have no objection.
Yeah.
But the objection could come later on, by the way. It's not frozen in the stone. That's why that's why I am in favor later on by Vlad was stating a dynamism rotation on the MSIG itself, because we have a dynamism into the delegates, into the Eden+Fractal process. So if we can also have a dynamism into the MSIG later on, implemented by Vlad, by the way, for the next iteration, that's nice. So just my thought here. Okay.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, so I'm curious, does anybody else have any objections to the potential prospective signatories that are proposed? Marco, Gabriel, Eric, Perry, Sebastian, or CAC? And does anybody have any questions for them? I'll ask a question too. Do you guys all expect that you'll be able to sign the transaction each week to help out with the sending out of the EOS and Eden respect each week? Got a thumbs up from Marco.
This will be the first time that I've ever signed an MSIG, so I'll probably need a little bit of help. I don't know if it's completely straightforward. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I'm certainly willing to show up and do my best.
So yeah, baby,
Sounds
let's
great.
move.
Thanks, Perry. Yeah, and just to clarify, it's quite simple. One of us posts the link, we share it, and then you have to just sign a transaction, and that's it to be able to do that each week. I'm sorry, Sebastian, what were you saying?
Yeah, right. I was like the Princess Bee for the German EOSBs when we still got funded. And we did like, I think every week 5 to 6 proposals, so that went really smoothly, and so yeah, I definitely can create some and sign one and execute one. So
you have already experienced.
Yes, like half.
You are not
year.
the queen, Sebastian. You are just a princess. Yes, sorry.
Princess, of course.
Yeah.
Well, sounds great. Thank you very much, Sebastian.
So, nice.
And then Gabriel, do you expect that you'll be able to help sign the transactions each week as a signatory on the MSIG?
I don't know what time window that gives us to be able to get it done. So I guess that's a question. But in general, yes.
Yeah, so the way it works, thank you, just to be clear, so one person after this meeting is over, and I can share some links afterwards or answer any questions, but one person needs to take about, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes or so just to go through a quick process of just taking the data that was submitted on chain with the app that we all put our names in during the consensus round, copy and paste that, put it into a slightly different format called JSON. It's very simple, and then just propose that. One person needs to do that, and then they share the link, and then everybody else just goes and signs in and signs the transaction. So I've been doing that, making the actual proposal, and I can continue doing that for a while. And then so whoever proposes it takes them 5 minutes. Whoever signs it takes them probably a minute or 2 minutes. And then I try to do it within a day or two after the meeting. Some people, if we could do it early, that's better. But we just try to do it within a couple of days. And then we want to just make sure that we all have it signed within, as soon as possible, within a week at least, so people have it by next week. But if we're able to get that down to doing it within a couple of days of every meeting, then that would be best. We can also play by ear and see what works best for the community.
I just want to say that the MSIG consensus results with the ranks and all, when it is posted in consensus result, the MSIG number, for example, for today, it's 34. That should be at least, Dan, I think you agree on that, that should be at least last delay posted on the Sunday, the MSIG. Because we are now Wednesday, normally the people should be rewarded at least on the same week that they have participated. So the last day of the week is the Sunday, the good day. So and then this episode of today normally, but I know that you have a lot of video to do, Dan. You do a lot of things up in parallel. The video could be also great if we have the video of this recording, let's say, not one day before the next Fractal meeting. Otherwise, that's not let too much time to the people to let's say, to ingest all the information that you are sharing here. That's just amazing. So, by the way, shout out to you.
Thanks.
But I just want to say, if the MSIG is published on the Sunday, and the video of this episode is also published, let's say, at least on the Sunday or maybe the Monday, 2 days before the next meeting, that's let the people to ingest. And last remark, when you are posting into the Eden+Fractal Telegram, you talked about the threshold or other things. At the last, for me, that was like at the last minute or at the last day, and I was like, oh. And when I see the message of Pascal here into the chat stating, if it was already discussed during the brainstorming, we just need to reach consensus during the delegate meeting. Indeed, what's the point to do brainstorming session and to have made the clarification round, then the reaction round, then the objection round, and possibly the implementation round, but we have never made the implementation round. And then we agree all on the brainstorming session on something, and then we are coming into the next Eden+Fractal meeting. Normally, we should continue on the let's say decision or consensus that we have reached on the brainstorming session, and to go with another proposal like yours. That's a very good proposal also, but not mix all together. Otherwise, we are like, but we experiment. I think today that's a good meeting today.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. I agree. Much respect to you. A couple quick comments. One, I will definitely try to get the video out sooner. I've been trying to make sure I get it out at least before Lenny does the recaps on, he does them on Tuesday. So I've been trying at latest Monday, but I was late this week. So I'm sorry about that. And I'll try to get it out over the weekend at latest. I'm also working with CAC now, and he's helping with the show notes. So I think that would be really helpful too. I've just had a lot on my plate trying to do so much on myself without just doing my own, but I'm going to use some of my funding to help pay CAC to help out with these things so they can be done faster, and he's doing great work so far. So excited about that. I'll try to get this video out within the next couple of days. I'll also try to share messages sooner too. I shared those messages yesterday, but I'll try to share it sooner so everybody has more time to prepare. Once again, I just have a lot on my plate, but I'll try my best to do better for the community. Regarding the brainstorming session, I do think this is just a big discussion topic. It's not something we want to rush into, like changing the MSIG. And we did. So Vlad made the first proposal during the brainstorming session, and then he made another one after that based on that, and then another one after that. So it was a recurring process, and we had a lot of iterations, and the brainstorming session was very, very helpful in starting that. But it just, I don't think there was enough to get to everything. So I think it's okay that we're doing it as we are. We're taking a bit long, but I definitely think that we should resolve this soon within the next week to get this all figured out. And so I'm looking forward to the next brainstorming session and next meeting. I think that responds to everything you said. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Patrick. I saw Pascal said he didn't have objections in the chat, and I'm assuming if anybody else hasn't raised their opinion about any objections about people who were proposing to join the MSIG, then I think everybody's cool with that. Also, it's almost, it's been a while now. Tadas says, thanks everyone. See you next time. Thank you, Tadas. See you soon. Tadas is building really cool tools, by the way, too, with Telegram. So thank you so much, Tadas, for everything. And I think we could probably start wrapping it up unless anybody has any other thoughts you'd like to share or final words or anything like that. Does anybody have anything else you'd like to share or discuss before we wrap it up, or should we close it out now?
We can close up with a yeah baby, strong yeah baby today.
All right.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so Dan, Sinjoy, do you think we can close this one?
Pat Novajoy, I think we can close it now.
Pat Novajoy, you are ready? Okay, so Dan Sinjoy, are you ready?
Yes, I am, Pat Novajoy. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's do this. We do a Go Eden Fractal at 3, 2, 1, 0. With a yeah baby for sure.
Baby. Absolutely.
And what else? A little vodka and popcorn. Okay, so let's do this at 3, 2, 1, 0. But raise your hand And
All right,
you are
sounds
great.
good. 3, 2, 1, and I suppose we can keep it pretty short to keep everybody's time. All right. Everybody's ready.
Nice, nice.
Barry's
I
raising his
love
hand.
this one.
You didn't specify how to raise his hand.
Mini-me. Oh, mini-me is ready. Okay.
I have boycott
Okay.
3.
I raise my finger, the God finger, by the way. Okay, so let's do this. 3, 2, and 1.
Go, Eels, Eden
And
Fractal.
0.
Go, Eden.
Go, Eden
Fractal.
Yeah,
Eden
baby.
Fractal.
Woo!
Nice.
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Wonderful.
Bye bye.
So much.
Wonderful.
Great meeting. See you next week, everybody. Thank you.